So despite offering some of the best finished Swiss mechanical watches for around $1,000, MIDO has remained more of an in-the-know brand in their price tier. With recent releases though, such as the Decompression World Timer, the Ocean Star GMT, and their colorful Commander Day of the Dead model, they've begun to start to turn more heads. And with their latest release here, they aim to keep that neck turning going with the Multifort TV Big Date, a watch that combines their 1970s heritage with that high horology inspiration while maintaining its established standard in the finishing department. Let's jump in. Established in Switzerland in 1918, MIDO has a broad archive and rich design heritage that informs this modern collection, having utilized this cushioned TV case shape as early as 1973 with the MIDO Multistar, being one of the first brands to utilize this case silhouette. With this new model, the TV case shape returns, this time within MIDO's Multifort line, a flagship collection dating back to the brand's formative years, with the first model being released in the 1930s, earning its place in watchmaking history as one of the first watches to feature anti-magnetic properties in an automatic, water-resistant, and shock-resistant package. And priced around $1,200, this new MIDO Multifort TV Big Date is launching with 5 different dial and strap combinations to choose from, some with a bracelet and others with the rubber strap. And if you're liking what you're seeing here today from these models, we will have links in the description down below to our website where you can see all the different models, shop all the details, and check them out even further. TeddyBaldassarre.com is an authorized dealer of MIDO. Now, taking a closer look at the dimensions of these cushion style cases, we have a diameter of 40 millimeters, not including that 2.5 millimeter crown guard setup, paired with the thickness of 11.7 millimeters and a restrained lug to lug of 46.7 millimeters. On the wrist, the TV Big Date should present an excellent wearing experience on almost any wrist size. Now, the watch from top to bottom on its length is greatly abbreviated, so no overhang should be of concern for even very small wrists, with most of the presence spanning from side to side with the included crown guards and crown. This does create a less usual effect, but I find the barrier for feasibility on size more comes from length than width. Set between 22 millimeter lugs, the TV Big Date is offered with either a rubber strap or steel bracelet, with both featuring quick release spring bars that will make strap and bracelet swapping a breeze going forward, all while maintaining that integrated style look without some of the pitfalls that come with that direction as it pertains to strap optionality. Looking at the rubber, there are 2 color options, including a vibrant orange or color matching blue with a rib pattern mimicking the bracelet center link, extending halfway down its length, and the strap will taper down to 18.5 millimeter width at a signed mostly brushed steel pin buckle, accented by polished facets on both sides. Now, if you're really wanting to lean into these watches' Patek-like properties, the orange rubber strap is going to be the one to get you there, with it undoubtedly feeling very much like a popular Aquanaut configuration. The steel H-link bracelet sports polished center links and brushed outer links, while tapering down in a less aggressive fashion to 19 millimeters before terminating at a milled and signed butterfly clasp. As is often the case with MIDO, the bracelet is very well finished for the price and can easily be adjusted with an array of pin adjusted lengths. The butterfly clasp is slick and is very comfortable. However, it does unfortunately lack any form of micro adjustment given that butterfly layout. The central case follows the bracelet's form, featuring fine brushing in a vertical direction atop the raised steel bezel, with hits of polishing on its sloping sides, and brushing continues on the lugs and crown guards, as well as on the side of the case, with a polished sign crown of the screw-down variety seated within those crown guards. Moving towards the dial, the TV Big Date is equipped with a flat sapphire crystal treated with impressive anti-reflective coating on both sides, aiding in creating an unobstructed view of the rounded square dial. Set within a polished chapter ring, the TV Big Date utilizes printed markings denoting the minutes, while offering a gradient effect on its primary surface. The minute track gives way to a raised central dial surface adorned with a horizontal line texture, while sloping down around its outer edge to meet the applied luminous hour indices and oversized date windows at 12. Now, beyond its shape, this Big Date serves as my favorite feature of this watch, as it operates in a manner that is usually seen in the best that German watchmaking has to offer. Now, each aperture houses one numeral and its own designated disc underneath. When changing the date, these discs will then overlap before the proper day of the month is indicated. The jump is rather instantaneous when it gets to 12 o'clock, but when you do the quick setting, you have more control over the motion, making it easier to see this slick movement happen. At the dial center, polished blunted hands with a strip of superluminova rotate over the relatively minimal dial text, with only the brand word mark and automatic text at 12 and Multifort at 6. Thanks to the relatively minimal layout and thorough application of blue-green emitting superluminova, the dial offers solid legibility even in darker conditions while not being a standout in the lume department. Flipping the watch over, we have an exhibition case back that is affixed with 4 tiny screws, helping to achieve the watch's 100 meters of water resistance and showing us the MIDO caliber on the inside, actually more formally known as the ETA C07.651. Operating at 3 Hz, 21,600 vibrations per hour, the C07.651 offers a lengthy power reserve that is double from the base thanks to a reduction in the frequency from 4 Hz. Another great thing about this movement, which is really interesting, is it's only utilized by a couple of brands, just MIDO and Certina within the Swatch group. And in the process, getting that very slick date change function with that big date, making it one of the most attainable watches on the entire market that has this feature. And as it's closely related to others within the range of that 80-hour power reserve calibers from pure Swatch Group brands, you are getting a movement architecture that has been seen in millions of watches with that base. Of course, with mass production and its more utilitarian presentation, the caliber isn't much to look at, although it does feature some striping on its rotor. Though it is not specifically called out by MIDO, I find many of their watches to be very well regulated. If you look back to when the information was public for COSC certified watches, MIDO was one of the top 5 brands in the Swiss industry with the most certified chronometers, which really astonished me when I learned it for the first time. But I think it gives a sense to what MIDO is all about when it comes to this concept of precision. We did still test out these 5 watches across 5 different positions, and the average range that they were running was -4 to +5 seconds a day. In terms of general operation here, we're looking at 21,600 vibrations per hour, 3 Hertz. It does feature hacking and hand winding, hacking stop in the second hand when you pull the crown to the farthest position, and a power reserve of 80 hours. But now let's unpack a little bit more, look at some of the pros and cons of these watches, and begin with some of the cons, and we'll talk about the pros. Now, I think the first thing you have to bring up here, and it's the elephant in the room, is that these watches, of course, are going to not have the most original of design languages. It's definitely taking what they had in their past with the TV case and then infusing some characteristics that certainly are going to come from like high horology brands, which have dictated a lot of the popular trends as of late in terms of popularity. One thing I will say about this model is it's a bit more to the alignment of, say, a Aquanaut rather than the Nautilus Royal Oak family, which there are not as many models out there that are leaning into that and have this case silhouette in the same way. In addition, you're getting polished center links, which I know for some is a pain point because they do tend to scratch much easier. Not an issue for me, but I know some out there. And then the other point that I would say is probably a bigger point of criticism for some and makes a lot of sense is the lack of micro adjustment. So getting a perfect size on this is maybe not as guaranteed as some other watches out there. This is just one of the challenges and give and takes with a butterfly style clasp. It's a lot harder to integrate micro adjustment in the process. But now we shift into the pros. And for myself, my favorite feature of this watch is going to be the big date function. Now everyone's gonna talk about the case finishing, which I think is very well done. It sets a standard for this price range. And for an everyday watch, they can kind of just do it all at this price. But to infuse the big date, which I get it, some people just hate dates, but if you're gonna show me a date, at least do something pretty cool, especially if you're gonna put it at 12 o'clock. And they did. Getting 2 separate or individual discs for those 2 numerals that are gonna be set to create the actual date and seeing that in action, that is an effect mostly associated with high-end brands of glasuta. So to see it in a watch around $1,000, very cool. Case finishing across the board, as I mentioned, well done. Nothing out of the norm if you're familiar with MIDO. The quick release changing on the straps and bracelets is nice. So if you're wanting to go back and forth or even put a different strap on this, you're getting more of that integrated look without just totally marrying yourself to this bracelet, although the bracelet is quite good. Case is wearable, although a little bit quirky and weird. Will wear wider, but not long. And I would say for most people, again, the length is going to be that barrier to being able to pull something off more than the width of a watch. And I'm a big fan of AA coating. I know some people are not as much of a fan. I like it because it just allows the watch to appear just very visible in a variety of different environments. It's easier to photograph. It looks more pleasant on wrist. I know some people are not as much of a fan of it. I have it in many of my watches, and it's one of my favorite features. So in general, this is a piece that is going to be another in the segment for this integrated look and style of that steel sports. It's not an integrated bracelet, but it does lean into that direction, doing it with a bit of a different case silhouette than you might see. I find many brands that are going in this direction go more towards that royal oak DNA. This is not going in that direction, a little bit different in that regard, all while delivering down the board for a watch at around $1,000 that I think is as well finished as you're going to come by. So who's this watch for? I would say it's for those that are looking for an integrated style watch, although not being integrated, while not leaning so much into the royal oak design language and looking at other places to grab that inspiration, including some history of their own in creating these watches and this case silhouette in the early 1970s, all while delivering on the standard that many people consider when they think of MIDO. Well-finished cases across the board, nice calibers with lengthy power reserves, and in this process, the cherry on top is sitting right at 12 o'clock with that date function. But all right, guys, that's my take here looking at these new MIDO Multifort TV big dates. What are your thoughts on these watches? Do you like them? Do you not like them? What's your take? Leave your comment down below. Also, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell icon if you did enjoy it. And definitely check out TeddyBaldassarre.com, full authorized dealer of 30 brands, including MIDO, quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, and a full factory warranty for all the products that we offer. How we're able to fund all these productions is through selling watches on our site. So if you're in the market for these watches or other watches out there on the market and we have them available, we would love to have your business. We know you can buy a watch essentially anywhere nowadays, but it allows us to keep doing what we're doing, creating great content, and we love what we do here. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.